Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. I've got these two pieces of wood. Mostly I have this piece of walnut. Walnut's kind of hard to come by around here, and this is my last piece. I have an idea in mind what I'd like to do with it, but I'm not good at visualization. So what I finally decided to do was take this piece, which is similar, half log, does not have the odd shape that the walnut does. It does have tight bark. And I'm going to turn this as a test piece. And I wish I could explain to you what it is I'd like to do, but again, I'm not good at visualizing, and since I can't visualize it exactly, I'm sure I can't explain it. So this is 7 inches by 7 inches by 3 inches high, and I'm just going to turn it what I have in mind, whatever that is, I can't say. We'll see what happens. So stick around. The worst that can happen is I'll end up with a round bowl. Small round bowl. I've drilled a 5/16 hole for my 3/8 inch woodworm screw, and I'm just going to thread that on here. In trying to visualize this, I was wondering if I should go flat end towards the headstock or make it a natural edge. Same with the walnut. And I finally decided I'd go natural edge in hopes of preserving the most bark is my goal. I'll get my mask and face shield on, get my gouge sharpened up, and we'll get at this. About 950 RPM. I don't know how high I want to come up here. Uh-oh, there goes my bark already. I should really be coming at it from the top side down to keep that bark on there. And I do want to keep the bark on. That'll be gone anyway, but I will start approaching from the top here in a minute. I can't get my tool vest too close, but this bark is overhanging, so you're going to hear tick, tick, tick for a little while until I get that cut off. I'm just going to have to keep stopping and checking, and because I still don't know what it is I'm trying to do here. Like any turning, you don't always know what it's going to look like once you get into it, and I might just change my mind, and this might not be what I had planned on doing. This might not be a test piece. This might be just a finished bowl. I don't know. Marking out for the tenon. I don't really need the tailstock there anymore. It is just in my way. Okay, we'll get the dovetail on there. I use this point tool to make my dovetails usually. Okay, I will sand it. Today's the first day of daylight savings time, March 11th, 2018. And it's the first day that we've hit 60 degrees. Whoa, 60 degrees. I came out here in the shop this morning and it was 46. I had to open the doors to let some heat in. So it's looking good to me. There's about a quarter of my mess. I'm going to start with 80 grit and work up through 400. The sanding is finished. Sanded through 400 grit. Now I'm just taking one of these little acid brushes and applying sanding sealer to all the bug holes, try and get it down inside there. And then when that's done, I will take a rag and spread it over the whole thing. This is well, I guess it's Alder. Okay, that's coat number 1. I won't put you through coat number 2. I'll take care of that and I'll bring you back when it's time to turn this around and start working on the inside. Sanded to 400 grit. 1 coat of sanding sealer. 2 coats of shellac. And that's where I'm calling it good. You always want to try and do your best. But this is not my best. But it's good enough for this piece. This is just an ordinary, everyday, natural edge ball. Small ball at that, 7 inches. So that's where we're going to stop and turn this around and hollow it out. Removing it from the woodworm screw. And as always, I like to leave the chuck loose, bring up the tailstock, press the live center in there, and in turn press the piece into the chuck so that I know I've got a good firm grip, and then tighten up the chuck jaws. Now this is small enough, I don't think I need tailstock support for this. Now if you remember from the beginning of the video, this was supposed to be a prototype. I didn't want to waste away the wood on my one remaining piece of walnut without knowing what the outcome would be. So this was going to be what I wanted to do to that piece of walnut, but wasn't sure if I could because I have poor visualization. Now that I've got the outside turned and I can kind of see where I'm working, I can see that's just not going to work. At least it's not going to work on this piece, and consequently probably not the walnut piece. My plan was to make a bowl in here, leave bark all the way around that bowl, and then feather out away with no bark. So bark around here, no bark out here, and the bowl in the middle. The problem with that is, now that I know, is I would end up with walls that are really thick. If I'm going to leave bark in here, I'm going to have walls that are like an inch thick or something, and that would just be ridiculous. So that's not going to work. It's partly due to the fact of the natural edge turning away, turning down, and then the high points here. It's just not going to work. So back to the drawing board for the walnut piece. But I'll just go ahead and finish this one up as a normal natural edge bowl. Mask and face shield on, turning at 1100 RPM. I want to finish up these wings before I remove too much inner material there. So I think I'll do a shear scrape here. I'm going to grab a round nose scraper and see how I can do. Well, that felt good. Let's see how it looks. Maybe one more pass. Yeah, that's good, and I still have all my bark. So I'm happy for now. Lots of nice chips, curlies. Getting a little thick here. I need to come back up here into my finished part and take off some. Rubbing the bevel first, and then the cut. I'm going to do a couple of things here that I don't normally do. First of all, I'm going to switch to a 1/2 inch gouge, and I'm going to give a lesson. I hardly ever give lessons. I feel like I'm the one that needs a lesson. I feel like I'm the one that's still learning. But in reality, I have learned a lot, and it was hard learned. Mostly I've learned from watching YouTube videos. Captain Eddie comes to mind. He gives good lessons on this. This is just so important. It's just so important. Right now, the bevel of my gouge is touching the wood. The cutting part is not touching the wood. And that's where you want to start out. Not cutting. Rubbing only. Which, the bad part about that is it will leave a mark from the back of the bevel. It will leave a mark. So you don't want to do it hard. You just want to touch. And then you want to bring your tool in this way. Even at this point, it's not cutting. It's not cutting until you tip the cutting edge up a little bit. Now it's cutting. And it's a minute difference. And it's the difference between a nice, smooth, clean cut and a catch is all we're talking about here. If you come up here and open this gouge up like that, you're going to get a catch. We're only going to cut on right here, right on the tippy corner of this gouge, like a 32nd of an inch or less, a 64th of an inch. That's all you're cutting with. So rub the bevel, slowly lift the handle, slowly open the gouge, and then you're making a cut. This is kind of hard. I probably shouldn't be doing this on a bowl like this, because here I'm not making any cut. Over here I am. You're just peeling off a little bit of wood. If you go like that, you're going to get a catch. Rub that bevel. The bevel has got to be in contact with the wood. That's all there is to it. Got that? Mask and face shields, always. Oh, here we go. Touch the bevel. Nothing cutting, just the bevel. Lift up the handle, slowly open the gouge. I turn slightly above center, and my gouge is pointed up, so I'm really above center. I need to come back here a little bit further for that cut. And I need to check and see if I got as high as I needed to go here. Still got a little bump right there. So I need to come clear up here where I didn't want to come, where I've already scraped. But I got to do it. You can hear how thin that's getting. I gotta see if I got that bump. I did. Now it's not generally a good idea to scrape out here when you don't have all that center mass support. I'll cut it all away. I want to scrape, and I'm gonna scrape. But remember, it's not a good idea. And the reason is because these walls are getting pretty thin, and they flex, and they come around and they hit the scraper, and they flex out, and then you come back over here and it's already in, and so you get a bumpy ride and you don't get a very smooth cut. So I'm going to be very gentle here. I want to get it right the first time so that I don't have to come back and do this again. It feels good. Yeah, I think we're good. Back to the gouge. Gonna measure again. About 1/4 inch. 3/16. Yeah, pretty good even wall thickness. 1/4 inch. I don't want to go a lot thinner than that on the bottom. I always like to leave my bowls with a little stability, a little weight, so they'll stay where they are. We're probably about where we ought to stop. Don't need any more funnels. I'm going to scrape down in here, scrape across the bottom, and scrape about halfway up this side, and call it good. That bottom corner is always the hardest part to get. Maybe you can see the light line. It's just about gone. That's what I'm trying to get rid of, is the light color line right there. Time for sanding. Whenever I do a natural edge bowl, the first thing I like to do before I sand the inside is to work on the bark, because it is kind of rough. It's not big heavy bark, but it still has some rough spots. And I don't know a better way to get rid of that than this tool right here. This is a Sandoflex, and it'll just clean that bark up real nice. I'll put my mask on here and we'll get to work. Yep, that just makes all the difference in the world. Doesn't really change the contour of the bark or anything. All it does is smooth it out. Makes it a lot more pleasant to handle. I was asked about this tool on one of my videos, and the company's still in business. It's Merit Industries. Uh-oh, I lost a piece of bark right there, but here it is right here. It's Merit Industries. It's called a Sandoflex. They do still make them, only now they're plastic. This is metal, aluminum, I guess. I have several of these with different grits in them, and they're just terrific for this kind of thing, or for irregular shaped bowls, like the bug holes. It's sometimes you'll have big gaps or whatever, like this bug hole here. Pretty big gap. You can actually get inside there with the fingers of this sandpaper and smooth that out. Works great. I'm going to glue that piece of bark back on here. I'll glue that back on and then get my 2-inch sanding disc out and get to work on the inside. We're at 300 RPM with a 2-inch sanding disc, and I'll just finish up the inside here, starting with 80 grit. So I sanded to 400 grit, and I'm just putting on the first of 2 coats of sanding sealer. So yeah, a second coat of sanding sealer and 2 coats of shellac, and I'll be back. The sanding's finished. 2 coats of sanding sealer, 2 coats of shellac. Time to turn it around and take off the tenon. Then a piece of non-slip fabric goes over that. And then the ball. Well, right away I see a problem. I'm not sure what I did here. I took off my little reference point in the middle. I think maybe I can see it there. So we'll lock down the tailstock and bring up the live center. Well, that's pretty close. Let's see how it looks when it's spinning. Yeah, that's gonna work. About 550 RPM, doesn't have to be a lot. Yep, that's good. Now we just need a little smaller gouge. I'll go with this 3/8 inch spindle gouge to cut that tenon off. Let me bring you in a little closer so you can see better what's happening. Now what I'm going to do, if you've seen my other videos, I always do it the same way. I'm going to press the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl right here, pressing to my left towards the headstock, and I'm just going to cut through that all the way through until there's nothing holding it on there but that bevel. And I'm going to turn the speed down a little bit so it's more controllable for me. I've got a little ways to go, especially at that low speed. In fact, I'll speed it up here just a little bit and slow it down again. You just have to get enough of that little nub out of there to make room for the gouge to get in and finalize the cut. Okay, so I'm just pressing with my right hand, left hand on the switch, and as soon as that little nub quits turning, we know we're broken free. Like that. And there we go. Couldn't be easier or cleaner. It just leaves a little tiny bit to sand up there, but of course I need to sand this whole area and put a finish on there and get it signed. So that's next. Well, there you have it. One little 7-inch live edge bowl. Not what I intended to do, but that's what I did anyway. Sometimes that's just the way it is. I'd like to thank you for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, please. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, please click the subscribe button. I try and put out regular videos, about one a week, and I'd appreciate you watching. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.